Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today for the insightful webinar, Risk Take Series Number 1, Exploring the Insurance Solution for Every Sector. Welcome. We are privileged to have Mr. V. N. Shivashankar, the Senior Vice President of SICI, to deliver the welcome address. Mr. Shivashankar, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vivek. On behalf of the Southern India Chamber of Commerce, gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you for this insightful session. I think we are fortunate to have an excellent panel to debate on a topic which is of increasing relevance today and probably for the future as well. While I may not be an expert on either an EV or on insurance, I can only hope that this would lead us to more questions. And I urge all of you to make the best use of this session, and hopefully we may be able to get more insights from our panel. My special thanks to Mr. Arunachalam for having agreed to host and head this session. And I'm sure with his vast experience, he will be able to get the best out of everyone. So with these words, I'm handing over the mic or the chair to Mr. Arunachalam for taking the proceedings forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shivashankar, sir. Thank you so much for initiating the session. We have a very relevant and very interesting topic for the day, insurance for electric vehicles, handled with care. When it comes to any vehicle, one has to handle the vehicle or driving with care while you're on the road. But there are particular interesting areas as to how do we handle electric vehicles, may it be a two-wheeler, a private car, or a commercial vehicle, or a goods carrying or a passenger vehicle, even an airport vehicle which carries passengers. What challenges could be there in insuring them? We have a wonderfully experienced panel today, both from the EV industry and from the insurance industry. So I will just give a short profile of our colleagues from the EV industry first. We have Mr. Manikantan, Director of Spiro Mobility and Energy Solutions, and he's also a member of SICI's EV committee. Mr. Manikantan has got over 25 years experience in engineering and natural fibers and renewables and sustainability. And he's a IVLP alumnus and deeply experienced in all areas affecting electric vehicles and mobility. We have welcome Mr. Manikandan. We have Ms. Sri Kalaivani Panneerselvam. She's an automotive domain specialist, and she's also a member of Southern India Chamber of Commerce and Industries EV committee. She is a digital transformation expert and got domain expert in full stack development from the IT industry and blockchain. She also has keen interest in the EV industry and all aspects affecting the EV industry. Definitely a keen observer of how the mobility and EV industry is going. So we'll get to hear from her certain thoughts about the challenges that may come around protecting the user, protecting the vehicle, and the insurance related areas. We have with us Mr. Tushar. Mr. Tushar is from SBA General Insurance. Mr. Tushar Dimar currently heads the retail line for SBA General. He has over 22 years experience in general insurance industry, and major line of business he has handled in motor, and he is a specialist in underwriting of the motor vehicles, and with particular focus on the emerging technology in EVs. We'll get to hear from Tushar his thoughts about covering insurance coverage for EVs. And we have Mr. Aditya Yagnik from Shriram General Insurance Company. Mr. Aditya is senior underwriter, senior manager for motor underwriting, and he also has 16 years of experience in underwriting, and he is heading the motor underwriting vertical for Shriram General. He sits in Jaipur, and we'll be definitely keen to know from Mr. Aditya as to what could be the focus areas while we go about insuring electric vehicles. I'd start with Mr. Manikandan, because I'd like to start with the technical aspects first and then quickly go to the risk management or risk coverage or the insurance aspects. Southern India Chamber of Commerce has a very strong membership across states, and it's well represented, whether it is individuals or MSMEs or SMEs or mid-cap companies, a very strong customer, membership base, and it's a growing chamber. and in its interest to provide benefit to members and non-members, such knowledge sharing sessions are being conducted regularly across topics. From the insurance committee point of view and the EV committee point of view, we wanted to have host a joint webinar on this topic because there is a convergence point between technology and risk, and technology and insurance. There's always a convergence point. Down the line, possibly we'll talk about, not in this session, but in future sessions, about insurance for drones or protecting the IT network through cyber insurance, possibly topics we'll touch in future under the banner of Southern India Chamber of Commerce. But to come back to today's topic, EV industry, as you know, is everyday news across the news channels, both print and digital. We get to know that it is slowly growing. The market has grown substantially over the past 2 or 3 years, and month after month there is a growth in numbers. And the government has a EV30 at 30 initiative, which means 30% of the vehicles on the road will be electric vehicles by the year 2030. That's the kind of opportunity the EV industry is looking at. And there are always the other side of the coin about the sustainability, about the adaptability of EVs for any environment, especially for the road conditions, for the traffic conditions in India. Is EV good both for the user and for the environment? Those issues are there. So I would like to start with Mr. Manikantan from his EV manufacturing and EV technology space. Where are we in terms of the adaptation of electric vehicles? Because people are used to driving the internal combustion engines, whether it's petrol or diesel, and possibly somebody has used a hybrid vehicle. A typical user, how comfortable he is to adapt EV technology? Mr. Manikantan, that's a starting point for you, sir.
Thank you, sir. EV adaptation is actually picking up pace. We've had EVs in India for quite a while, about 15 to 20 years at least. Ever since the first electric scooters came into India about 20 years back, it's been there for a while. But the last 7 to 8 years, the adoption has become faster. The government of India has got subsidization from a manufacturer's perspective as well as a consumer's perspective. But what is tilted in the favor of EVs is that the fear of battery life is reducing. People are having faith in the manufacturers and are willing to trust manufacturers, be it Indian or the MNCs which are operating here. The adoption is happening. We would probably say it's about 1% of the total share at the moment or less than that. But we are seeing acceleration more in the two-wheeler space as well as in the commercial space. This is largely because the economics still sit in its favor. There is a phenomenal savings in terms of fuel. Let's not talk about sustainability, but in terms of fuel savings, it's phenomenal. So the adaptability to EVs is becoming much, much better because of the tremendous amount of fuel savings which is happening in the sector, particularly two-wheelers and the commercial vehicles, the three-wheelers which are used for logistic deliveries. They are actually capitalizing on the savings in fuels. So it is happening. And this 2030 target seems to be a little tight, but I think government is geared up with a lot of incentives to ensure that we are able to reach as close as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Manikantan. Since you just mentioned very interestingly, before talking about sustainability, one has to look at how quickly we are able to adapt to technology and have trust on its being at par with the conventional vehicles in terms of its usefulness. I will take the question to Ms. Kalaivani. Since it is close to your heart, Ms. Kalaivani, you can respond on this about the concern of certain quarters about the disposal or reuse of the batteries used in EVs. Can you touch upon that point before we look at take the discussion to risk and insurance? I will bring in Mr. Tushar and Mr. Aditya. Before we reach there, I want to touch upon this topic. Since the topic is quite important and it's close to your heart, can you comment about where are we in terms of the disposal or reuse of batteries?
Right now, I would like to share couple of points technically from the IC engine versus the electric vehicle also. Can I go ahead, sir, so that
Yeah,
it will
yeah,
set the
please,
context for the
please
audience
go ahead.
today?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to touch upon few more basic points so that even from the insurance audience will be able to be in the context. So we were having a lot of internal combustion engine vehicles before. So the infrastructure availability and the power station, the petrol stations availability, it was all good enough for supporting the IC engine vehicles. When we moved to electric vehicle, yes, it is because there was a push towards the sustainability, because there was a depleting amount of oil and gas. So we have to move or shift our technology from IC engine vehicles to electric vehicles. It is not a complete shift, I would say. It is an inclusion of a new technology in terms of in transportation. And when it comes to electric vehicle, the supporting infrastructure is charging station. So do we have enough charging stations? How was that insurance is going to cover enough pointers when it comes to charging station also? So this is also something I wanted to touch base on. And with respect to electric battery pack, so that is the major component, or 40% of the electric vehicle uh, cost is going to be for the battery pack. So how is that insurance is going to cover the battery pack uh, pointers also? That is also something I wanted to just have a highlight over the presentation. And also, like, these are a couple of comparison between the IC engine vehicle and the electric vehicle, whereas we could see like a list of differences, a complete set of differences between these two vehicles, where the insurance industry is going to have a complete set of different parameters when it talks about electric vehicles. Say, for example, IC engine vehicles, of course, it is emitting the greenhouse gases, whereas electric vehicle, it has got no tailpipe emissions. That is the unique selling point for the electric vehicle, we can say. And also, like, when it comes to travel coverage or the mileage coverage, IC engines definitely will have the upper hand because of the fuel tank capacity, whereas electric vehicle, of course, it has got a limited battery capacity because of the technical challenges involved in expanding the battery capacity because of thermal runaway and other conditions, which might happen if the capacity is increased to more than 800 volts and all. And other than that, like, there are few other components like the refilling time or the fuel weight. When it comes to IC engine vehicles, it is going to be very low because of the um, oil weight. And battery, when it comes to electric vehicle, it is going to be a bit heavy, as well as the running cost or the operating cost is also going to be high for the IC engine vehicles because of the petrol cost and diesel cost. And when it comes to electric vehicle, it is going to be very low because of the electricity consumption. And also, like, if at all we are going to renewable energy source, it is going to be still lower. And these are a couple of pointers. And average lifespan of the IC engine vehicles, if it is 14, whereas the electric vehicle is going to have a lifespan of 22 years. That is because of less number of moving parts that we have in the electric vehicle. And these are couple of items, like, we can say, like when sir was talking about sustainability. Yes, when we are talking about sustainability, it is uh, not just the battery recycling. It is altogether the complete components that goes into the vehicle has to be recycled to encourage or to cater to the circular economy in terms of electric vehicle complete life cycle. So here, these are the high voltage systems that are available within the electric vehicle. This as So looking at this itself is, it's like we can see that there is a complete change in the technology where the expertise required to do the repair work or maintenance, or even for recycling also, there are challenges, right? To recycle these components, the electric waste that goes into the environment every day. That too, if the vehicle the market potential of the vehicle, it is likely to grow exponentially. So if that is grown, how is the environment going to get impacted with all these high voltage system components or low voltage system components that are getting dumped into the environment? So these are some of the aspects that we have to cover as part of insurance also. Maybe a couple of pointers I'll put at the end when it comes to sustainability. And this is also another trend, future trends of electric vehicle I wanted to touch upon, which is hybrid electric vehicle. Right now, we are talking about covering insurance policies for complete battery electric vehicle. How about hybrid electric vehicle, where we have a fuel tank also to power the vehicle as well as a battery pack to power the vehicle? So how is that the insurance is going to cater to it? Is it always going to be an add-on, or is it going to be a complete coverage, a comprehensive coverage for both fuel tank as well as battery, both engine as well as battery? So this is also one aspect I wanted to bring in. And also, like, we have the future electric vehicle technologies also. It is not just the battery electric vehicle, it is also the future technology. Like, hybrid vehicle is one aspect, another aspect is the fuel cell electric vehicle. So this is also again another a future energy vehicle, the new energy vehicle we call it, which is going to get propelled using hydrogen as the fuel source. And it is going to have the fuel cell, which is going to convert the hydrogen into an energy source and power the battery, which is going to propel the vehicle. So this is also again another new energy vehicle that we have to consider when it comes to electric insurance for electric vehicle. So these are like few components which will get into the environment in future, which needs a proper recycling. And these are a couple of pointers which I wanted to touch base on. Whereas fast charging, like when we are charging the vehicle at a 2C rate or the 3C rate, this is one example I wanted to cover. If at all we are charging the vehicle at a 1C rate, 1C rate is nothing but you can consider and take an analogy where we have a bucket which is going to get filled with one single tap. So in that particular rate, if at all the battery is filled with the charges, then it is going to have more number of cycles. Again, this is again with respect to sustainability. How are we going to make use of the vehicle in such a way that the lifetime of the vehicle is going to be increased? If at all we are doing the number of fast charging more number of times, the lifetime of the battery is going to get reduced, and the number of charging cycles, the cycles are nothing but the charging cycles. So the charging cycles are going to be drastically decreasing. So this is something we have to take care when it comes to electric vehicle handling, or how do we care about our electric vehicle. So that is something I wanted to add here. And also, like, the depreciation cost, how is that being covered in insurance? Say for example, as and when we use the battery pack, it is going to get depreciated every time we charge and discharge. So for every cycle, it is going to degrade in its capacity. So this is going to directly have an impact on the total cost or the resale value of the battery pack. So that is something also has to be considered when it comes to insurance. And next is maintenance and RSA. When it comes to maintenance, we have two components in it. One is the software component, another one is the hardware component. Hardware component already we have touched based on. The software component is nothing but the ECUs and the software updates that are given to the vehicle. So how is that going to have an impact on the vehicle's health? If at all there is a malfunctioning in the software component, how is that insurance is going to cover that defects or whatever issues caused by the malfunctioning of the software? That is also something that has to be considered. And roadside assistance is something like, if at all it is a vehicle, electric vehicle, it has to be towed in a appropriate way. So how is that also covered as part of insurance policy? This is also something, one pointer that we can consider. And with respect to battery replacement, how is the battery defects or the cell defects that are identified later can be immediately replaced, because when we are replacing a battery, it is not just the module, it is going to be a complete replacement of the battery pack. So how is that covered as part of the insurance? And with respect to battery fire impacts, it is not just for the passenger of the vehicle, it is also there are impacts created in and around the vehicle, so that also has to be covered as part of insurance, or it will be helpful for the vehicle owner, or value add to the vehicle owner. So this is also something I wanted to touch base on. And also the sustainability, sir was asking the pointers on sustainability. I have 3 pointers on this. My first one is, how is my insurance policy or insurance industry is also going to cater for a circular economy? So how do we make the vehicle owner accountable for a battery recycling? So this is something like we can have a checkbox, a simple checkbox saying like, I have recycled my previous battery. So if that is the case, if that is the checkbox checked, I will be able to give some incentive or discounts on the next premium for the vehicle owner who is going to buy the next vehicle, or who is going to get the battery replaced for the current vehicle. So this is also something that can be added to improve the sustainability of the electric vehicle system, or the complete life cycle. Another point is like, electric vehicle can also cater to the or participate actively in the grid balancing, we can call it as like the power grid. Whenever it has got the overload condition, the electric vehicle can participate in the grid balancing activity, and then that will also consume the number of charging and discharge cycles, we can call it. So in that case also, we can still considering giving some incentives or considerations if at all there is a battery damage that happens during the participation of the vehicle in grid balancing activity. This is also one of the sustainable point I wanted to bring in. Another third point I wanted to bring in as part of sustainability is that um, how is that my energy source for operating my electric vehicle is coming, whether it is coming from the thermal power plant energy or from the renewable energy source. If at all I have my own renewable energy source at my home, and I'm completely taking having a complete green energy, green, or we can call it as a clean energy that is used for the electric vehicle, can I get some discounts or incentives on my premium? So that is also something I wanted to add here as part of sustainability. So these pointers can improve the green technology, green and clean technology, and also like increase the sales of electric vehicles. So that is something we can think of. And yes, as the electric vehicle market is going to grow almost at an exponential rate, like I mentioned before, from $23 billion in right now in 2024, it is going to expected to grow to $117 billion by 2032. So how is that we are going to make it sustainable? So this is how are we going to cater to these 3 pointers that I mentioned. So this is something I wanted to add here, and we can proceed further, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Kalevani. A huge wish list of what you want as regards the insurability or the insurable aspects of electric vehicles. Before I come back to Mr. Manikantan on a very, very important topic as regards safety in using electric vehicles, I want to quickly bring in Tushar. Mr. Tushar, you just saw the wish list Kalevani had in terms of insurability of electric vehicles. I wanted you to update the audience as to where we are currently in terms of adapting the motor insurance for electric vehicles. For a very long time, the motor insurance covers have existed, both covering the damage to vehicle and to cover the third-party liability. Where do we stand today in terms of how the motor insurance has been adapted to cover electric vehicles? Can you just provide the perspective from the insurance industry standpoint, Mr. Tushar? Yeah, while waiting for Mr. Tushar to unmute, I'll take the liberty of responding partly to that point raised by Ms. Kalaivani. Ms. Kalai, you're there?
Yes.
Yeah. So I noted with keen interest the priority areas that you had mentioned as far as insurance is concerned, including issues like ensuring the accessories, ensuring certain specialized operational areas like the charging stations, and particularly the very important area of roadside assistance. How do you tow? What does it take to tow an electric vehicle as compared to towing a petrol or diesel vehicle? I noted with keen interest what you had in mind. Before we bring in Tushar or Aditya, my feedback to you on this is, as you know, insurance is supposed to provide the financial compensation for any activity, whether it's a personal activity or business activity. Insurance is to respond. But only thing we will all agree that insurance cannot prevent the risk. Insurance is only a financial tool. The risk happening cannot be prevented by insurance. So the first understanding that I wanted to give, since I represent the insurance industry, is if there is risk mitigation possible, it is incumbent on the user to put in mitigation. If there is a safety requirement, if there is a SOP to be followed, or if there is any warranty to be followed from the manufacturer's side in terms of maintaining the vehicle, I don't think insurance can come in to step in for the user. It is the user's priority and his level of care, how he wants to follow those instructions or SOP or any procedures or even comply with the warranty condition. So the first understanding is the insurance will not step in to put in the mitigation or enforce the mitigation. That's the first step. I'll come to the point of incentivizing or encouraging the user to follow that. I'll come to that. So the first thing is insurance acts as a financial tool. Number two, clarification is insurance may not end up covering all aspects of use of an electric vehicle. I'll give an example through how do we ensure the cyber risk. Technology in terms of using computers has been several decades old. Possibly cyber insurance would have started in mid 90s or late 90s as more and more automation took place or adaptation to computerization took place. Cyber insurance has been slowly tracking where the risk is going. So ransomware has become old news. Today we're talking of the risk posed by use of AI, ML. If the user wants to use AI for protecting the system, a hacker uses AI to break into a system. So the question is, insurance always follows risk. So there has to be a technical or technology innovation, and then there has to be a risk operating, and the user or the economic environment wonders, can this be insured? And the insurance as a risk transfer methodology would follow. You take the example of drones. Even use of drones is still catching up, it's developing, where drones can be used and applied maybe in agriculture or e-commerce or other similar applications, maybe defense or other or weather monitoring. Drones are being used. But insurance for drones is still developing. You don't have a plug and play insurance solution to use of drones. It is slowly catching up. Because on one side, you have to pay for the value of the drone. On the other side, you have to pay for third-party liability. What if the drone falls on an expensive installation or it creates liability? Likewise, when it comes to electric vehicles, the insurance industry is recognizing how we should adapt to insuring electric vehicles and what kind of extensions should be introduced along with the conventional motor insurance cover. As you know, still the insurers would use a motor insurance policy contract. Only thing a user has to see, and definitely the insurance company will see, how to modify the coverage, how to extend any unique risk exposures of electric vehicles that has to be brought in. Today, I hope Tushar is able to come in or Aditya is able to come in. They can explain about how motor insurance is catching up with the use of EVs and how the insurance industry is adapting to it. Any response on that, Kalai, on my explanation?
Yeah, it's absolutely fine, sir. One other point that I wanted to add is the battery fire impacts, right?
Yeah.
It's does it cover only the owner of the passenger needs, or does it cover also the damages caused to the adjacent assets?
Yeah, there is something called, I have to take you to the fundamentals of insurance. Typically, it is likely the insurance company will view that I should be insuring what belongs to me. If I am the owner of the electric vehicle, I should insure the electric vehicle and the accessories. And if there is a damage caused to the, let's say, charging station or the entire equipment that is used in the wherever the charging station is established, the first understanding could be the respective owners of the asset would insure themselves, which means the electric vehicle owner will insure his electric vehicle and its the adapters or any other accessory that comes with the vehicle, and the agency which has created the charging station. It could be a metro rail parking area, or it could be an apartment complex where the charging station is given, or a mall in the parking area they provided the charging station. Of late, there are specialized third-party agencies who create charging stations, and then there is a multi-party agreement on the operations of the charging station. So ideally, the value of the charging station would have been insured by them. But we need to consider this aspect that if due to fire in the electric vehicle and that spreads to the charging station, if the cost of loss is attributed to the vehicle itself, possibly, I do not know. I'm not an insurer. I can't stand in for the insurer. Definitely, if Tushar or Aditya are able to come, they can clarify on this. But I would think that this could result as a third-party property damage liability, which can come on the owner of the vehicle. If the fact of the case is the fire started in the vehicle itself or on the port where the vehicle is plugged, if the fire and spark has come there and the vehicle caught fire and that fire spread to the charging station. But I have to take you to the converse. If the fire was on the charging station, the port where the cable is plugged in, if the fire had arisen from the charging station itself, then possibly it's a liability of the charging station or the agency which owned and operated the charging station. They should be indemnifying the vehicle owner if there is a damage to the vehicle. Ideally, the person who has created the loss would be indemnifying the other party. So it depends on how the facts had taken place, whether the fire originated in the car and spread to the charging station, or the fire originated from the charging station or on the wall-mounted charging charger or the plug point, and then that spread to the car. Depending on the fact, either of these parties would be seen as liable. Any response on that, Kalai?
Yeah, this is completely fine, sir.
Yeah, because of this particular thing, you can note there's something called insurable interest. So the car owner cannot be insuring the charging unless you have it at home, and then that's an accessory, and one of the insurers agrees to cover that. If there is a policy add-on, which apart from covering the batteries, apart from covering the accessories in the car itself, if they agree to cover the wall-mounted charging station, then that becomes part of the vehicle's insurance. Otherwise, if it's a third-party owned charging station, then the third party would be insuring themselves based on this principle of insurance called insurable interest. Now, I'll take this discussion back to Mr. Manikandan. Mr. Manikandan, you there?
Yes, sir, I'm there, sir.
Yes, sir. So as I mentioned, I'm not an insurer and I cannot speak for the insurers, but there's a general area of concern in terms of safety. I know of late we are seeing instances where electric vehicle, either while it is charging or while it is being used on the road, suddenly catches fire. And the general layman understanding is the battery packs, they catch fire, nobody can put off the fire. The intensity of the fire is very, very high when it comes to the batteries, lithium-ion batteries, which are fitted onto the electric vehicles. So can you throw some light on the relative safety aspects of conventional internal combustion engine Because whenever I go, I visit a city, I book a cab in the airport, and then I don't know, I don't ask the cab company, will I be going in a petrol vehicle or a diesel vehicle? But the moment I sit in the vehicle and I find out it is CNG, then I feel slightly worried because I'm sitting on a gas tank, or it's an LPG vehicle. I'm equally worried because I'm sitting on a gas tank. So that's the perspective of a user. So from the user standpoint, should it matter whether it's electric vehicle is possibly risky to use and own? That's question number one. The same worry, the same concern will be in front of the insurers. They don't look at vehicle by vehicle.
Hello,
Can you hear me?
hello,
Tushar, you're there?
hello. Am I audible now?
You're audible, Tushar. I'll come back to
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, thank you
I
so much.
just
Sorry for bothering in between.
Nice, it's okay. So I just stood in for you for a few minutes, so you
Thank
catch
you
up.
so much.
I will come back to you, Tushar. Just hold on. I'm going to take this question. Thanks, Vivek, for assistance. I'm with Manikandan. So on the safety aspects, as an expert on the EV industry, Mr. Manikandan, can you throw some light on the safety aspects of using EVs? Are they less safe or more safe than internal combustion engines?
So from the industry's perspective and as a consumer, EVs are as safe as internal combustion engines. One, if a petrol car can catch fire, yes, an electric vehicle also can catch fire. Difference in technology, yes, it is there. We need to understand one small parameter. Batteries are packed energies, and the way to douse a lithium packed fire is what needs to be sensitized. So the user as well as the fire safety team will have to be sensitized on how do we handle lithium fires. Now this is the only thing which needs to be read about or publicized to the consumer as well as from a manufacturer's perspective, even from an insurance perspective. Now taking the decision further, what are the possibilities of fire in an EV? As you were discussing, the possibility is the power supply, which is the source of charging. Now, this is being ascertained by the manufacturer. When the manufacturer installs a charging station in the house of the owner or the office of the vehicle owner, they ensure that that risk is handled or the problems are handled one. So the source is automatically taken care. With respect to the other two aspects, it's a charger which can actually create a problem. Standards are there. When you meet the standards, this definitely, the risk can be reduced dramatically. The third aspect is the battery or the harnesses. Now, the risk of the harness is there on petrol vehicles also, or petrol and diesel vehicles also, but the energy flow is a little lesser in those vehicles. So predominantly, if you use a good quality harness to transfer the energy, this problem also can be reduced dramatically. So in a nutshell, sir, be it internal combustion engine, LPG, CNG or EVs, the risk factor is there. The safety factors are always the same with all forms of transmission. But yes, the risk factors are cut across all vehicles.
For the benefit of audience, sir, I'm a layman. A good number of our colleagues may want to know. What do you mean by harness, Mr. Manikandan?
Electrical cables.
Okay. Which
If
carry
you
the
use
power to the
standard cables, the quality of copper is good. They are well protected. There is no leakage of power. We are extremely safe, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Manikandan. Tushar, you're there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Tushar. We're eagerly waiting for you to come in. So I partly answered the concerns of Ms. Kalai in terms of what part of the EV can be insured. I didn't go into specific because you are best placed to clarify today what's happening to the insurance industry when it addresses the insurance requirements of EVs across two-wheelers, private cars, taxis or passenger vehicles and heavy commercial vehicles. How is the insurance industry responding to this insurance of EVs?
Okay. So first of all, sorry to everyone for this technical glitch beyond my control. So if you want to understand insurance, basically we've been driven under a very regulated environment in motor. We used to have an internal tariffs which used to define all the policy wordings, and these policy wordings used to cover all types of coverages. Now with changes in technology, newer type of vehicles are coming. But the base policy wording which has been given is so comprehensive that it is able to basically cover everything except few things here and there. The broad structure of insurance remains same, whether there is an accidental damage to the vehicle which is happening, and or there is a third party risk which is involved. But with this new technology on EV, there are certain new requirements which are cropping up, I should say. The first thing is, in the engine we have currently, consequential loss covered for vehicles which are submerged in flood. Similarly, there is a possibility that an EV also can submerge in flood, and knowing the current technology which is there, I don't think the battery pack can sustain anything more than 1 hour of flood water into it. Now, for that, there is enough add-on covers which are being given by insurance companies. So currently, customer is getting what the basic necessity is there as far as the overall coverage is concerned. Now there are new risks which are emerging. Basically, currently there is nothing which is available from insurance industry perspective. There are a lot of regulatory changes which have happened, and those changes are basically involving all insurance company to think through and bring some innovative covers. Now, roadside assistance was always there. It's just that it is being extended to electric vehicles, and those are basically picked up only through your flatbed vehicles. So roadside assistance is covered, the motor and the battery is also covered. What else is there? Okay, there is something as so very few companies have this. We of course have this product. The software malfunction requires IT experts to fix these issues. We have an add-on where basically up to a certain limit of software expenses we take care. So that's something which we have. I think overall insurance industry is evolving and evolving along with probably EV simultaneously, because you see the original batteries were allowing vehicles to run only for certain kilometers. So we were trying to think that these are safe risk. But then now you have vehicles which are coming which can run up to 700 kilometers for one charge, which means I can technically from Mumbai go to Ahmedabad. Now I'm back to square one in terms of the risk which is there. Earlier I was assuming this is a safe risk because it is going to fly within one limited area because of the battery capacity. But the larger vehicles like BYD and all, they have a larger capacity. So the technology is evolving even on EV side. So we will have to think through and see where does it puts insurance company uh, probably to cater to these customers. How do you handle them? How do you give them the protection which they need today? One, is there any innovation thing which is technically not covered probably, and give them that cushion also? So there are two elements which currently I don't think insurance is covering. One is the battery. You have a life cycle for which the OEM takes some warranty for 5, 6, 7 years, for which I am sure there is an insurance at the back. But post 7 years or before that, if the battery conks off and is not repairable or reusable, the customer is going to be at a greater risk, because the car cost and the battery cost, the proportion is almost 50-50 today, or even 40-60, 40% cost coming from battery and 60% from the body shell. So that 40% burden is going to be borne by the customer, because all of a sudden he'll be insurance less. He won't have cover for that. So we'll have to think about that. And the other small add-ons which we are working on is, but obviously you have electric vehicle, you will install some meter at home, that installation cost or electricity bills which you can look at it, because these are all consumable items which is an expense to a customer. So you can think about all these things. There is also a cover required in a probably I should say a scenario where a two-wheeler battery which is being charged at home, where my insured object is somewhere outside, it is not responsible for that battery getting exploded and killing some people. So that's something we will have to think about. How do we get this into motor element, or there is any other new product which can be given to customer for battery related risk. There are a lot of talks going on batteries being given on what you call as on rent, where the insurable interest will be of somebody else and the vehicle owner is somebody else. So far I don't see any development happening on that part, because you'll have to understand on legal complications how the legal courts will understand this new policies or new covers.
Understood, sir. Mr. Manikandan had a question he has posted in the chat box. He wants more clarification as to how do you say that the today's new age EVs are flying for a longer distance? How does it increase the risk? He wanted to just understand.
So when you look at before EV, you had diesel and you had petrol. Insurers are all basically gung ho about the data what we collect, and it is a simple thumb rule that the vehicles which are more on road, which are typically diesel and CNG petrol, are more prone to accidents. Now that could be because of, not because of the vehicle, but because of a lot of other external factors also, that driver fatigue, road conditions, lot of things. So when you use a vehicle up to 700 kilometers, there are bound to be those external factors impacting that. So an EV being driven only within city and EV being driven on highways, there is bound to be a difference in claims experience. Even after we having so-called very good road infrastructure, still the human mistakes are there, and those mistakes are less within city because you hardly have any scope to zigzag on the city roads because they are so crowded nowadays.
Okay, got it. I'll just quickly bring in Mr. Aditya. Mr. Aditya, are you there? Are you able to unmute?
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Aditya.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks
So
for
both insurers went off for some time.
yeah. There's no conspiracy. There's only a glitch. So glad you come back. So Aditya, question to you is to an extent, I gave a limited response to Ms. Sri Kalevani on her very carefully prepared wish list of how electric vehicles are to be insured. And I brought in Tushar, and Tushar has addressed some part of it. So I'd like to know from you, where is, in your viewpoint, where is the insurance industry in its, there's no doubt about the capability of the insurance industry, but in terms of its preparedness as to how far they want to stretch insurance to address all the risk issues of electric vehicles. Any thoughts on that, Aditya?
Sir, basically to start off, like as of now, we are not that much prepared for EV vehicles in India, because if you see the we don't have that mechanics to, if in is any vehicle which is being bought by a customer. So normally there's a difference between petrol vehicle and EV vehicle. In petrol vehicle, we can go to a normal daily our own mechanic, and he can repair the vehicle. But for EV, we have to go to a dealer shop, and that dealer is also not that having advocate knowledge about EV and all wirings and all everything. So in terms of after sales servicing, we are not that much prepared, and the cost of parts of everything is very high. So in terms of insurance, I would like to say that we are not that much well prepared to cater the services of customer.
Before we move to the next point, Aditya, is there a higher rate applicable in motor insurance for EVs, or you charge the same rate, the basic rate?
The rates are the same. So rates are the same, but after sales, like if in case a claim comes, then the rate of the parts in terms of in EV is very high, sir.
Okay.
So like in petrol vehicle or diesel vehicle, the rate of parts and everything is not that high, but the average claim base size in EV is very high in terms of normal petrol and diesel vehicle.
So that's understandable, because I'm only comparing this. Suppose we were selling only 1,000 petrol vehicles or 1,000 diesel vehicles, the limited number. then the cost of the spare parts could be higher because you don't have the pace growing. But diesel and petrol vehicles are selling in millions. So the day EVs sell in big numbers, either equal numbers to conventional internal combustion engine vehicles, or the EVs become dominant part of the market, possibly the cost of servicing could come down, cost of spare parts could be coming down. You agree, Mr. Aditya?
100% in agreement, sir. But with the vehicle increase in number of EV, the mechanics will be available. The whole ecosystem will improve, sir. As
Yeah.
it's because everything is in tandem with vice versa. If the numbers increase, obviously the corresponding ecosystem will also increase, and that will help to us bringing down the average claim size, sir.
Okay, but in terms of insuring of EVs, there's no reluctance or there's no hesitation on the part of insurers to accept EVs as a risk, right? If you have a EV vehicle dealer, would you be happy to ride their vehicles as you're happy to ride the dealers of a petrol vehicle or diesel vehicle?
Sir, that again depend upon the guidelines which the companies, like as you rightly said, as of now the parts are very expensive, and the uh, the knowledge and the after sales service is not available in the market. So as of now, we, like as an insurer, I don't think so that companies are very aggressive in writing out down the EV segment in terms of private car. Whereas like in e-rickshaw, like in northern part of the country, we've got n number of e-rickshaws available. So
Okay.
that the companies are writing aggressively, because
Yeah,
there the parts are available when everything is available, sir.
yeah, so I'll take that question to Mr. Manikandan. From the EV industry standpoint, Mr. Manikandan, any comments on the infrastructure of repairs, which is connected to the efficiency of insurance claims? Where are we in terms of availability of repair facilities? Tushar mentioned that today's new generation EVs can go for 600, 700 kilometers. So from the insurance company's point of view, they'll be concerned about availability of repair places. I don't know whether I can call them workshops professionally, how to address them. So, Mr. Manikandan, any thoughts on how this is developing?
So I'll have to be very honest, it's a very sad state of affairs.
Okay.
I will quote from my personal example. At 17,000 kilometers, our Tata Nexon's battery broke down totally. My wife was stranded on the middle of the road. So the battery had totally failed. And I had to wait for Tata Motors to send a towing vehicle for 4 hours. We took it to the service station. They were not prepared to handle the vehicle. They took 4 days to actually come back and tell me that the battery is gone. We knew it upfront because we work in the industry. So 4 days later, I get a call saying that the battery is gone and we've sought a replacement. Once we get the replacement, we'll fit it and give it to you. Because we are insiders, we got the vehicle in 7 to 8 days' time. Sadly, right next to our vehicle, there was a Nexon which was parked there for 3 months. No push from the owner, so the dealer also took it easy. So in all probabilities, the service stations are not ready at all, be it Tatas, be it Mahindras. I don't even want to mention BYD because they don't have an extensive network like the Indian companies have. It is a very sad state of affairs. So insurance companies will need to keep this into mind, probably talk to the automobile companies and try and see if they can push this on to the next stage. And actually at SICKI, we are trying to talk to the automobile companies and see if the soft skilling needs to be done, so that even the soft skilling part is a problem, because the service, not the service team, even the people at the lobby don't know what to do. It is a bad state of affairs.
So you can call them, you can just say teething troubles. But I will go to Tushar to check with him what is his experience looking at preparedness of the EV vehicle infrastructure. How does it impact the insurance industry? Number one, a similar question to you, Mr. Tushar. The way the repair facilities are not as much as expected, or similar concerns are there. Are the insurance surveyors experienced in surveying the damage to EVs? Are they experienced, or they're also still learning?
Okay. So, sir, I think we all basically are learning process. So It's just that there is a push from government. Then you have manufacturers making those machines and putting it on road. There is no infrastructure. Infrastructure is, basically being followed up. So I could bluntly say that we are trying to show the world that we are, trying to push on safer environment. That's it. We are targeting this. Uh, Whether actually EVs are going to, improve our EO2 emission norms and meet global standards or not, that's a subsequent story which we all can discuss after 10 years. But the fact is, all are struggling today. If you ask me as an insurer, I am struggling because my surveyors, see, these are all automobile engineers who have seen day in, day out only engines, IC engines. Now, all of a sudden, you need some electronic engineer in the car. That fellow doesn't know beyond something how the car will run. He only knows that electronics part. And then you have an IT guy sitting there doing some software updates. So that one part on insurance company, but obviously the dealerships are not properly trained. You will have to train, pick and choose people in your workshop, probably all diploma holders in electronic engineering now. If you're expanding so well in EV, then you don't need mechanical engineers there.
Correct. So, would you see that as an opportunity for creating new breed of insurance adjusters or surveyors who can survey and adjust or settle, help to settle the claims for
I
EVs?
think there
Maybe a
is.
new
I
profession will
think
come
there
in.
is. Yes, I think there will be. So eventually, some few months back, we were talking to my local garage fellow who used to open Maruti 800 left, right, center, and he could do every damn thing in the car. Now, if I ask him to do something on even today's Maruti cars, he struggles because there are a lot of electronic parts kept. So he says, boss, don't give this to me. If you want to repair your bumper, I'm fine with it. But don't try and tell me to touch engine because there will be few things where I don't know where the wire goes and what it will hurt you. So that is a sorry state of affair today because we've, it's like you've launched a product where people are not ready. You're fortunate that these vehicles are being sold only in major cities. Imagine a situation where you're in tier 2, tier 3 cities, you are gone.
Okay, but I would like to know, Tushar, I'll also ask this question to Aditya. What about the vehicles which are being used in major cities? Within the limits of the city, are there facilities available? Are there insurance
So
surveyors
they are able
experienced
to
surveying
they are able to
EVs?
manage. They are able to manage. That's it.
Okay,
You
okay,
can say that we are pulling it off because the numbers are low. So
okay,
honestly, the volume of cars is very low currently, and it is spread between all insurance companies. So no
okay,
one insurance company has larger set of volume to experience that. Okay,
okay, okay,
I may insure 25, Vadita may insure another 25. So that's all spread across. Then you have
okay,
another spectrum, two-wheeler and auto rickshaws, where people will not even come to you.
okay.
They will go to the same OEM fellow who's either a properly authorized OEM or whatever. He will repair it and give it to him. There won't be any claim there.
Yeah. So I'll take this whole discussion to Kalaivani. Sri Kalaivani, madam, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I brought it back to you. It's on your lap now. You have spelled out very important insurable areas or areas of risk while using an EV to be covered, including accessories, including charging stations, including batteries, including roadside assistance, and the specialized way of handling EVs while towing. That's a list of areas to be addressed when it comes to insurance of EVs. But on the other side, insurance companies don't have adequate numbers. They're not built experience, and they don't know which way this will go. Whether they have to be excited about insuring electric vehicles or they have to be cautious. And in between, the reality is on the ground, the manufacturers, OEMs, and the related entities that are working in the ecosystem of electric vehicles, are they prepared to provide support or repair facilities across? For example, Tushar mentioned a new generation vehicle can run up to 700 kilometers. It can run up to 700 kilometers, but am I on safe ground? From the experience of Manigandan, it may be quite risky for somebody to have a breakdown or a problem, technical problem with an EV. When it's halfway, when it hits the 300-kilometer milestone, it stops, it's not working, and there's no facility available nearby. How do you bring this closer? Your requirement of insurance of very unique exposures of EV and the lack of infrastructure and facility and training and skills. How do we address this gap?
Yes, sir. I could understand the gap. Definitely, there is a big gap between, like even Manikandan sir mentioned, there is a big gap where the service industry is struggling. Like after sales market, all the services that we have right now, it is definitely not adequate to address the number of vehicles that is going to get into the market. Especially on tier 2 and tier 3 cities, there is no service centers at all. So it is like the best we can do is like we can try to give webinars and workshops and try to train uh, certain skilled employees. Say for example, earlier they were dealing only with the IC engine vehicles. Few of them can be trained to uh, explore more on the electric vehicle repair centers. Like we can try to improve those third party centers, I would say, the service centers. Definitely manufacturers will not be able to cover all the areas. So third party service providers will have to pitch in, and they will have to create centers to cater this need. And other than that, like you mentioned, not it cannot be scaled up immediately, right? And also, like, how are we going to bridge between the vehicle owner and the service center instantly? There has to be a technology update also. Say for example, right now we are working on a lot of telematics related applications wherein the user will be able to easily connect with the service providers or service centers where they wanted to get the vehicle serviced. If there is a malfunctioning that is happening at the software level, it can be easily addressed with a simple on over the air update, we call it. Like we can just within a click of a button, we will be able to get the updated software package and then get it activated and get it repaired. So this is something that can be addressed in a digital way. But when it comes to electronics issues, definitely it has to be addressed by improving the number of service centers, by training the I mean, by providing the skill sets, so sir, it is like we have to develop that. But other than that, everything has to be digitally connected, and the workflows or the controls have to be passed across all the domains have to be connected here to cater the need, I would say.
Yeah, I'll now bring Mr. Manikandan. Mr. Manikandan, one of the comments on the chat box is an issue about non-repairability of assemblies or certain parts. If it goes, you have to replace it. Whereas in conventional engines, conventional automobiles, there's a chance of repairing certain part instead of replacing the whole assembly. Is that an issue from the technology standpoint? Definitely, it will be an issue for the insurers at some point of time. When the claims ratio builds up, they don't have a substantial vehicles insured with them. The premium base is still growing, but the claims ratio is too adverse. This may become an issue for the insurance industry. So is that an issue with EVs that you have to simply replace? Anything goes wrong, replace it, then repair?
Absolutely, sir. It definitely calls for replacement because there is a sea change in technology. Not just automobiles, almost every other consumer industry is moving towards electronic controls than mechanical or electrical controls, because electronics are high on development cost, but they replace more than one or two mechanical components, and they are very inexpensive to manufacture. Like for example, if I put in a couple of controls on a microprocessor, the software development is expensive. But when I look at the actual manufacturing cost of the microprocessor and dumping the software and ensuring that it controls those components, it becomes cheaper. So a lot of technology is coming in to actually reduce the cost of manufacture. However, troubleshooting becomes a serious issue because people are not trained. So this is the reason why the wear and tear issue or replacement comes in with respect to components in the new generation vehicles. Another interesting aspect is, whatever said and done, I'm not going into the statutories and the technicalities of the governmental policies and the automobile companies, but as of today, more than 70% of the components critical for an electric vehicle are not manufactured in India. They are import dependent, full stop. That means when I have to do some troubleshooting, if it is not doable at the manufacturer's level, I don't even want to talk at the dealer level. If it cannot be done at the manufacturer level, it means it has to be replaced. That is how things are happening. Now, these are my 2 points to add on to that. But I have one interesting point to add to the discussion that you've been having with Kalai and our friends from the insurance side. We have a very peculiar, add-on to the insurance policy, particularly for EVs. We spoke about roadside assistance. It's fantastic. But interestingly, a column gets added: emergency travel and hotel accommodation. In case there is a breakdown and you're not able to fix it, the vehicle is towed. As a person insured, insurance companies have, or automobile companies have asked insurance companies to provide for emergency travel or for accommodation. So see the way things are getting built. These are things which we never would visualize. As a owner of a car, if there is a problem, I'll take it to a mechanic shed. If the mechanic says there is a problem, I can fix it only in the morning, I probably will take a bus or a train. But now automobile companies, particularly EV companies, because of the pressure that they have from the customer, are trying to incorporate an emergency travel or a stay in the particular city or probably nearby cities to ensure that they are not flagged up. The whole thing is emerging in a different direction.
I'll give a feedback on that before my colleagues from insurance industry would come in. I'm quite used to these kind of value-added services on motor vehicle. In the nearby country, Sri Lanka, I know a couple of insurance companies provide much more value, even replacement vehicle. If I had given a compact vehicle damaged in an accident and I report a claim, they for a few number of days, they'll give a replacement vehicle of the same category. If I had insured a Mercedes-Benz S series, S class, and that is damaged in an accident and it's a workshop, I'm not going to get it for another 3 days or 4 days or 1 week. The insurance company will send me another luxury vehicle, if not the same S class Mercedes, a similar category luxury vehicle. A very small country like Sri Lanka is still doing it. So the issue is, Mr. Manikandan, how does the market respond? The Indian market, as of now, I can make a comment as an industry player and possibly having spent 35 years experience in the Indian insurance industry. We look at optimization of premium outgo. As a user, I want to pay lesser premium if possible. I want the insurance companies to be efficient in quoting appropriate lower premium, but I want them to take care of my insurance claims, valid insurance claims. Definitely, I want them to take care of any third-party liabilities, vehicles used, somebody gets injured. I want them to compensate on my behalf millions of rupees to a third party. All that is required. Today, the current market is the insurance companies would give a discount on the own damage premium rate. So you go about trying to make the premium rate efficient and efficient and efficient. It'll be very, very stressful for insurers to give all sorts of value addition. You tell me the day when, at least for EVs, we say that there's no discount, there'll be a rate on which there'll be no discount at all. And then for these add-ons, I'm going to charge something extra. I'll give you a room, maybe in a 2-star or a 3-star hotel, and I'll give you food expenses for maybe 2 days when you stay there. I may give you transport expenses back to your home, wherever you came from. All those add-ons can be there as long as the market is able to, in some way, pay a premium, pay a consideration for that. But current market is you have online insurers, you have any number of dealers and OEMs competing with each other to provide insurance, but at a lower cost. Then there may be an issue for the insurers to provide all sorts of value additions. I mean, there's no end to this list of value addition when it comes to providing value along with the vehicle. Like I mentioned, replacement car, if you like it. Tushar, are you able to respond on that? The value addition.
I'm 100% with you, and it's not that this is something new which has come in market.
Yeah.
Roadside assistance was there in market even in 2007-8. A mere 130 rupees premium to take care of towing in emergency was not being paid by customers even in 2008 and even today. We had hotel accommodation, we had replacement cars, we even had reimbursement if your car is taking repair for 5 days, 6 days in garage to use taxi coupons. Things are all available, but at a price which nobody wants to pay. It is that sensitive currently in the market. And to an extent, probably insurance companies are also to be blamed because this madness in acquiring market share, everyone is bleeding. Still, nobody wants to, take a U-turn and say, hold on, I am not going to lose any more money now. But that's the game of Indian market because you want to capture and create brand image in the market. You want to have presence everywhere. But there is a cost which we are paying and which customer is not willing to give it back to us.
Yeah. So the question I asked about the replacement of parts had come from Mr. Bharat Sharma. But on this value additions, Mr. Tushar, are you still
Yes,
giving these value additions, the roadside
it's all
assistance,
there. It's all there, sir.
even for
Yes,
electric vehicles?
yes.
Okay,
It's
it's
all
available.
it's all available. It's just that people
Manikandan, it's
don't buy.
available. Your problem solved.
People take only add-ons which is hurting their pocket at the time of claim. They're not bothered about the other aspects. So
But
if I
if you,
deduct something towards depreciation, it pinches them. So they buy depreciation reimbursement cover only. In flood-like situation, their engines get frozen. For that, they will take engine guard. But you are stuck at night 2 o'clock in some remote location on highway where you need to call up toll-free number and ask for a alternate car or a towing. You don't want to pay for that.
but it's available, you're saying.
It's all available in market from long
So
time, sir.
informed customer like Mr. Manikandan is a
Yes,
diligent customer. If he wants to choose his add-on covers, the roadside assistance add-on, all the services are available for a
yes,
price.
all are available, sir.
So Manikandan sir, did you take notice? It's available in the market.
I'm actually a little bewildered. I think to my friends from the insurance sector, I think you should take it up with the automobile dealerships because they are the people who primarily insure the vehicle when it is bought. I think apart from they putting a hoarding and their feature list of the vehicles, there should be a small cubicle which actually talks about all the possibilities because I'm sure if not 100%, but at least 5 to 7% of the people who buy the cars at that point of time, because when you buy the car, you are actually okay. You might, even if with respect to whether you pay from your pocket 100% or you probably have a 90% or a 95% finance cover, it insurance is actually part of it these days. So when financial institutions fund the cost of a new vehicle, they actually pay bumper to bumper when we say the insurance is factored in. So probably adding 600 rupees or 1000 rupees on the insurance cover to spread over a period of 3 years or 4 years, which you used to pay for the vehicle, I think it will be minuscule in terms of change in the EMI. It will not be drastic. So from a consumer perspective, I think insurance companies should get more aggressive and communicate this to actually the buyers before they actually sign on the dotted line. Once they sign on the dotted line, then there are no changes because then they will ask the dealer, sir, in the 50 rupees extra, you pay it up and get me a better cover. So that will not happen. So you need to sensitize these people beforehand.
So Aditya, what's your take on add-on covers or roadside assistance? Would you like
Sir,
to
it's
comment on that?
available as Mr. Tushar has said, it's available in the market. Companies are giving it, but the only thing is that the customer doesn't feel like that they might be get into some situation like that they will need a roadside assistant. So that is they are not opting for it.
So there's no
So, sir,
discrimination against
one,
the EVs.
Hello.
The
so
companies would still provide for EVs these add-on covers, correct?
yeah. So, sir, one thing to add here. So, when a new car is being purchased, the customer basically listens to the dealer.
Yeah.
So, at the time of buying a new car, he has that cover. But just because it is a new car, you have very rare frequency of getting into an electric failure in the first year.
Yeah.
The second year, when it comes to paying insurance premium from his pocket, that is the
Yeah.
time it starts pinching him that 50 rupees.
Okay. Why should I incur that?
Why should I incur that?
I mean, in a rough way, I can compare this.
That
When somebody goes to buy a mobile phone, then another person walks in saying that I'll give you water damage or theft damage or any other damage cover, even extended warranty services. Then somebody who buys a mobile phone for
sir,
25,000
actually,
rupees or 50,000 is not as eager to buy those add-on covers. He says
Yes.
avoidable. Why should I pay extra?
so that is so that is because they don't doesn't visualize that kind of situation that may arise, sir.
Yeah.
That is why they don't buy.
So, Manikandan sir,
And
one question to you. Slightly shifting. There's a
can
question
I
in the
add? Can I
yes,
add just one small thing?
yes,
This
sir,
also has to do lot with our, the way we have been brought up, our culture. We are
Yeah.
basically jugadus in nature.
Yeah.
So if we get stuck, we know how to find a way out. We are not dependent like the abroad country people, where you'll get on a fingertip, you give a call, you get everything. We have not
Correct.
got used to it. I think our generation, the newer generation, is getting more dependent on the technology than the older people. So it may take some time for us to reach to that situation where RSA may become mandatory from customers saying that I need this.
Correct. So the Manikandan himself is a personal example. He narrated his own story, how he was stranded and he didn't get repair facilities, and that's a likelihood for anybody. So I think more awareness to be created at the point of sale, that these scenarios are likely. You're not going to get a workshop at a nearby area. You may end up with this kind of requirement, and that those services are available from the insurance companies. That awareness creation possibly looks very important. But Mr. Manikandan, question to you, sir, from Mr. Bharat Sharma. What about scrapping or salvage of this vehicle? If there's an accident, road accident to an EV, if it's a petrol or diesel engine vehicle, it can be cannibalized, the parts can be used, the shell can be used, door, everything can be used. There's a better realization from a conventional vehicle. How about salvage disposal or realization from a EV? The way you said, parts have to be simply replaced. There's no question of repair. So if there is a front collision of an EV, it becomes, let's say, 50% value is gone or 70% value is gone, it becomes total loss. Is there a realization possibility from sale of the vehicle, or it's absolutely not there?
I will split this into multiple sectors. Point one is that as we move towards electric mobility, the weight of the vehicle is coming down. When I say the weight of the vehicle is coming down, I'm not talking about the holistic weight. I'm talking about every component. The doors are getting lighter. I have an Exxon EV. I used to have an Exxon diesel vehicle sometime back. There is a difference in the door weight between an Exxon diesel and an Exxon electric. The vehicles are made lighter. So in terms of scrappability or in terms of value, automatically the value seems to be coming down. One. Two, in case of a head-on collision, if the battery is protected, then the realization for us is actually a little more than what you will get from an internal combustion engine, because the motor is down below the vehicle. It's not predominantly, it's well protected. The wear and tear of the motor is even lesser than what will happen to an engine. Third, on the recyclability or on the value perspective, taking a cue from what Kala has been trying to push across, the fact is that automobile vehicles have a end life. These lithium batteries are moving towards energy storage, maybe at the domestic level or at probably power plant level. So the realization factors will, if not be lesser, it probably might be in par with electric vehicles. In par with internal combustion engine. The technology is changing everywhere. From a carburetor-driven engine, we've moved to a multi-point fuel injection. That means the cost of the components is more electronics and mechanical. So we probably are in par as of today. But I am noticing that when you go to a third-party reseller, the realization for an electric vehicle, which is run probably the same kilometer as an internal combustion engine on the same model, EV seem to be getting a far lesser value for a very simple fact. People want the full warranty of the car if they want to buy an EV. They do not want a partial warranty. So that is the only reason why the cost of or the recycle value of electric vehicles is down compared to internal combustion engine. But realization wise, I think we are in par with internal combustion engine.
I noted that, Mr. Manikandan, it's quite comforting, both for me individually and definitely for the insurance industry. But I'd like to share with you, on behalf of Tushar and Aditya, that insurance, efficiency of insurance as a risk transfer tool will be based on statistics, availability of statistics. So you have more numbers building up, you have more claims being reported, and the insurance companies are able to make sense of the repair cost and all the other information. Definitely, the third-party liability claim that will come in comparison to conventional vehicles. How do EVs fare? And at the connectivity of that point with the area of use of the EVs, are they used mostly within the city, or do we start using it cross-country? Are we able to drive on and on and on because there are charging stations available? All of this will build up, and when a reasonably good level of statistics are available, the insurers are able to build experience. And along with that, these missing components. Today, I'm from this conversation with Kalaivani and yourself and our insurance colleagues, I see there are missing components, especially the skill sets required at the dealer point, at the, I don't know whether to call it a workshop. Is it correct to call it a workshop? I don't know. The repair centers. And definitely from the insurance company's point of view, they have experts in their roles who are EV experts at the time when the numbers build up. And from the allied professionals like surveyors, do we get experienced surveyors who have a specialist knowledge of how EVs are repaired? And definitely they are able to arrive at the correct indemnity. Indemnity is, we can't, there's no 1 rupee more or 1 rupee less. Correct indemnity a user should be getting. Do we have surveyors who are equipped to survey an EV and then provide a survey report and provide an assessment of the correct repair value to be fair to the vehicle owner? When all this builds up, then we are at a very comfortable stage. But I would think the discussion today touched upon the EV industry as it is in terms of how it's the expectations of the EV industry on insurance, very well articulated by Sri Kalaivani, and definitely the technical explanations from your side, Mr. Manikandan. Being a manufacturer of EVs, you know the challenges of innovating and challenges of taking it to the next level from the industry side. And definitely our colleagues from the insurance industry gave their perspective as to how prepared the insurance industry today. They seem to be prepared to accept the EVs as a risk category. But in terms of providing the services, there could be the way EV industry has a few gaps. Insurance industry also could have a few gaps, especially areas like surveyors or loss adjusters who are specialists in EV matters. These are the areas of learning today in this discussion. So I'll quickly go around for a closing statement. Ms. Manikandan, first to you. A closing statement. The topic today was insurance of electric vehicles handled with care. So what's your closing point, sir?
So honestly, it is, I would probably, position it in a different fashion.
Yeah.
There is a lot of learning that has to happen. So care is critical. At the same time, because we are moving towards an electric vehicle revolution, I'll use the same word that Kalai puts in, telematics. The automobile manufacturers have so much of data in their hands at the moment. Even if I accelerate the vehicle more erratically, it is recorded at the back end. My charging pattern, my usage pattern, I have authorized Tata Motors to actually track where I go to. If I'm parked somewhere for a longer time, if the vehicle is running, they have the awareness, and the software behind analyzing that behavior pattern also is with them. So if the insurance companies can actually go back to the manufacturers with the kind of data that is already built over the last 4 to 5 years, we definitely can augment our cluster of services and offer better services to the end consumer. But rightly put, when we say handle with care, this is more the manufacturer than the consumer. It's between the consumer and the insurance companies to go back to the manufacturers and tell them, we want more from you guys, better give it to us.
So when you organize from SICKI EV committee webinar with the manufacturers, we'll be happy to participate.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
If we are invited.
We will, sir. We will ensure that we make a point of, yeah.
Kalaivani, one line closing statement.
Yes, sir. So I want to touch base on three things. One is, of course, like Manikandan sir mentioned, the digital advancement with the availability, we can call it as a data-driven analytics and predictive analytics or predictive maintenance. If it is available for all the vehicles out there, it will definitely be able to give us when is my component going to get failed. If there'll be an alert given to me 5 minutes before or 15 minutes before, I will be able to prepare myself for the next failure, and I will be able to immediately respond to the situation. So that will definitely happen as the technology advances and as the data driven uh, applications they grow in the market. And second one is the sustainability and the environment aspect, like we mentioned, how the mm, environmental friendly policies or practices are encouraged by the insurance providers. How do insurance industry also cater to that, along with the electric vehicle manufacturers? And third point is like the service, the maintenance industry or the roadside assistance that we were talking about. Definitely a good partnership between the manufacturers and the service providers in producing the skill sets that are required for future maintenances and repair systems for electric vehicle and future new energy vehicles. Definitely it is going to get improved. So and a public awareness of how to handle electric vehicle with care, like our today's webinar topic says. Yeah, this with
Thanks.
all these things, definitely it'll be a good one.
Thanks,
That'll be
Kalyavani.
good.
Thank you so much. Mr. Tushar, closing statement from the insurance industry point of view.
So I think from our side, the whole point is whatever gaps are there in terms of identifying coverages which are not available, we should look at innovative solutions and products for that. That's a work area for us. One, two, train our internal people to understand the EV ecosystem, because when he goes for survey, he needs to understand this car in a different way than understanding a typical IC engine car. Two critical areas to work for us as an industry.
Thank you. Aditya, from your side. Aditya, there? Okay. So, friends, with that we come to the close of today's session. Very interesting topic, insurance for electric vehicles, and how do we handle this topic? How do we handle the topic with care? Where the industry, EV industry veterans spoke, and insurance industry colleagues also spoke. There are no solutions today because the whole technology is evolving, and insurance of this technology is also evolving. As I mentioned, insurance always follows how the technology is developing. I gave an example of cyber and example of drone. As the technology is being innovated and risk follows, risk events are happening, insurance industry will quickly take notice of that and find ways of how do we insure it at a cost. Insurance is just the premium is 1% or around that. It's a percentage of the value premium, and the insurance industry would want to cover that risk. So the industry is ready, as you know, as we have seen. Already EVs are being insured. These other missing areas are being addressed one by one. I'm sure as we go forward, where the sale of EVs are growing, the premium base for insurance industry also would grow. The statistics will develop based on the claims and based on the loss event that take place, including third-party losses, third-party liability losses, and insurance industry will quickly adjust themselves to offer better solutions, especially areas like roadside assistance and towing and providing other value additions along with insurance for a premium, definitely, but still it will be part of the insurance solution. So we have a lot of expectations from the EV industry and possibly good potential for the insurance industry to respond to the EV industry expectations. So thank you very much for your patient listening. We'll come back with more interesting topics. SICKI being over 100-year-old Chamber of Commerce, very prominent and having a very strong member base and growing, We'll come back to you with more interesting topics. From the insurance committee standpoint, we'll bring more relevant and more useful and more interesting topics for you to engage. So I hand over now to Mr. Vivek of SICKI for the vote of thanks. Mr. Vivek.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have come to the end of our enlightenment session, first I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed panelists for their invaluable insight. Thank you, sir. You have done thank you for providing a comprehensive overview of the current insurance landscape of EV and challenges associated with that insuring them. Thank you so much. And also I would like to thank Mr. Manikandan Kalevani and Mr. Aditya and Mr. Tishu for providing us a perspective of retail lines underlining the discussion cost of cost saving strategy and the premium optimize of EV bonus. Last but not least, big thanks to our audience and a special thanks to Joanna for hosting this excellent event, and thank for your participation and engagement have been important to the success of this webinar, and we appreciate your presence and look forward for your continued support in the future session.